All right, welcome back. I'm Todd Ledbetter, and this is All Music. And today we've got a special show today. Instead of doing my top 6 favorite albums, I'm gonna do a top 10. This is 1975, and there's just so much going on this year that I just decided I better do a top 10 because it's just too hard to choose. And even at that, I probably could have done a top 20, and I'll even probably mention some of the other bands that are notable also from 1975. But it was a really good year for music, and I'm really excited to get this list started. And I'm going to try to give a little more information about the band and what was happening at that time of the release of their album. And we'll see how that goes. And we'll get started right away. And I want to get started with my number 10 pick, of course, because we're going to count down. And here's some of the albums that we're going to be rocking. But the first number 10 is going to be right here, Styx, Equinox. I love Styx, and this is probably the earliest version of Styx that I got into. And it has some great songs and some songs that are notable as well. Light Up, Lorelei was a hit for him, Mother Dear, Lonely Child, Midnight Ride, Born for Adventure, and then the little classical 12-string guitar Prelude 12, and then probably the most notable is Sweet Madam Blue, and that was a pretty big song. Let's see. Let's go ahead and share the screen, and I'll show you some of these right now. Here we go. So this is the track list here. 1975. There's 8 songs, 34 minutes long, and there's some good music here. This is I really enjoyed this album when it came out. I had it. Well, no, I had it shortly after because I think I had Grand Illusion, which came out in '77, and then after Grand Illusion, I went back and started seeing what else Styx had to offer, and this is a really good one. Enjoy this album very much. Let's see what we can find out about this album. On Wikipedia, see if they've got some information for us. Yeah, so this is the 5th album by Styx, released December 1975. It was the band's first release for A&M Records, and they had just signed earlier that year in 1975 with them, and it was after the late well, they had that hit Lady, you remember that? And that was in '73. So after that, they got signed to A&M, and also marked the final appearance of their original guitarist for Styx, John Krzelewski. I don't really know him very well. It's funny that I don't even know that name for being such a Styx fan. But he left the band right after this album, and I guess he wanted to spend time with his family. Just before the band got huge, I guess. Well, people make their choices. Well, the band, they went on what appeared to be a frantic search for the replacement. And of course, they needed somebody to support this album live. So after the search went on for a while, they found Tommy Shaw. And that was a good fortune for them. Now, this album stalled at about number 58. On the charts in America, but it did go gold in 1977, just shortly before the Grand Illusion album that I referred to earlier. That was in 1977, and looks like it sold about 350,000 copies when it was first released. And like I said earlier, the biggest track was Lorelei. It was a top 30 hit, and let's see, the lineup for the band at this point was Dennis DeYoung, vocals and keyboards, James J.Y. Young, vocals and electric guitar, and then John Krzelewski, if I'm saying that right, sorry if I'm not, vocals, electric and acoustic guitars and keyboards. And Panozzo, the bass player, backing vocals on, he sang on Sweet Madam Blue. And then his brother John Panozzo on drums. So that was the lineup of Styx in 1975. So that's pretty cool. It's got a lot of different styles of music. It's got some proggy kind of sound and stuff. It's got some acoustic music going on, and just some rockers too, and then some ballads as well. But that's my number 10 for 1975. And next is going to be one of my favorite bands of all time, although this is not one of my favorite records of theirs, but it is in my top 10 list at number 9. It's Rush. And for me, Rush is pretty much an all-time favorite band. Like I said, I really like them, and I've liked them for a long time. And I think I first was introduced to Rush when I was a freshman in high school by a friend of mine, Paul Gold, who was a sophomore, and he introduced me to none other than 2112, and so that kind of started my Rush love for Rush. And so this one was Caress of Steel, which was released here in 1975. It's got 5 songs, but you can see there's the Necromancer, 12 and a half minutes, and the Fountain of Lameth is 20 minutes nearly. But it's a pretty good album. I like it a lot. Let's see what we can find out about Rush during this time. I think we know who's in it. Caress of Steel. It's the 3rd studio album by the Canadian rock band Rush, released in September of 1975 on Mercury Records. It marked a development in the group's sound, and moving from the bluesy based hard rock, like Working Man and all that kind of stuff earlier. That was before they had Neil Peart as a drummer, and they're starting to work towards their progressive rock sound. So back in mid 1975, Rush, they stabilized their lineup with Alec Lifeson, bassist Geddy Lee, and the drummer and primary lyricist Neil Peart, who had joined the band in 1974. So this was just a year after he joined. They released Fly By Night in 75 also, which marked Rush's first foray into the multi-part and conceptual songs with Bytor and the Snow Dog. So the group were on a rise in popularity at that time, and they received a Juno Award for a Most Promising Group. In 1975, they finished touring Fly By Night, which culminated in the Canadian leg that had them headlining for the first time. So that's pretty cool. And let's see what else we got. Yeah, you got side 1 is Bastille Day, and you can sort of hear the influences on that song too, like a Led Zeppelin sort of influence, and they even admit that. I've seen some documentaries and things like that where they talk about their influences. Lakeside Park, so pretty good album. I really like it. If you haven't heard this the older Rush, definitely recommend it. So, just the personnel is Geddy Lee, vocals and bass, Alex Lifeson on 6 and 12 string electric guitars, acoustic guitars, classical guitars, and steel guitar. And then Neil Peart is drums and percussion. Produced by Terry Brown, which did a lot of their music, a lot of their albums, I should say. So that's number 9. So number 8 already in our special edition top 10 songs of 1975 is The Who. And you know that I'm a Who fan. I think everybody knows that. I've always liked The Who. But this is a particularly good album. And let's see, it's The Who by numbers is what it is. And here it is here. Little drawing. Cool little cover art here. So also again released in 75 with 13 songs. It's nearly 50 minutes. A lot of great songs on here. Some some real good album cuts and semi hits, and then some big hits too. Skip Kid is a good song. Um, However Much I Booze, you probably know who that was about. Squeezebox was, I remember hearing that on the AM radio when I was a kid, all over the radio. Uh, let's see what else is a pretty big song on here. In the Hand and Face, How Many Friends, Red, Blue, and Gray. Just, they had a really good sound at this point, just a good rockin' band, but they also could play some sort of ballady type stuff, and they're very diverse in their style as well. It's just not, like a one sort of genre band. They kind of meld into different styles of music, which is another reason why I really like the Who. Let's see if we can find anything on Wikipedia about them. Yeah, let's see. The Who by Numbers is the seventh. Wow, the seventh studio album by at this time, 75. They'd already had 7 albums out. That's amazing. So that was released on October 3rd of 75 in the United Kingdom through Polydor Records. Let's see, October 25th in the United States on MCA Records. It was named the 10th best album of the year in the Village Voice charts, the critical poll. It says, let's see what it says about it. It says Pete Townsend claimed that the band recorded practically every song he had written for the Who by Numbers, partially due to the writer's block that he was experiencing at the time. So the songs on the album were, for the most part, more introspective and personal than many other songs the band had released at the time. So Townsend had his 30th birthday in May of 75 and was struggling with the idea of being too old to play rock and roll. I wonder if he still struggles with that. And the band was losing its relevance, he felt. He began to feel disenchanted with the music industry and feeling that that those feelings that carried into the songs. So that is interesting. About 30 years old and he's feeling too old to rock and roll. That's amazing. Yeah. So you got, we went through the album list already, and you got Roger Daltrey on lead vocals, of course. This is a classic lineup. Pete Townsend, guitar, banjo, ukulele, backing vocals, lead vocals on However Much I Booze, and Blue, Red, and Gray. And Jonathan Entwistle, who is one of my favorite bass players. He's up there in my top 10 for sure. He played bass, French horn, trumpet, backing vocals, second lead vocals on Success Story. So that's pretty cool. That's the Who. The Who by Numbers. I love it. It's so cool. Well, I think I already mentioned it during this session already, but Rush had another album in 75, believe it or not. And that was Fly By Night. Fly By Night is a very good album. A lot of great songs on here. Anthem is cool. The Best I Can. Beneath, Between, and Behind. Bytor and the Snow Dog is very cool. Fly By Night. Everybody knows that song. Making Memories. Rivendell, and The End. These are great songs, and they really started to hone their progressive style of rock and roll by this time. It's not a huge fan favorite, but definitely better than Caress of Steel, I thought, although I do like the Caress of Steel. Let's see. Fly By Night is the second studio album by Canadian rock band Rush, released in 1975 on Mercury Records. It was the first Rush album to showcase elements of progressive rock for which the band has become known for. Yeah, I think Caress of Steel was, not quite nearly as good, but still, all in all, I'm such a Rush fan that I just love hearing their sound. And this is also the first album that features Neil as the primary lyricist as well. So some of the background and recording here, you got in March 1974 on the second Rush lineup consisting of Alex. Let's see, 1974, the second Rush lineup consisting of Alex. No, that's not right. It says John Rutsey. So let's see what else it says. They released their self-titled album. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I'm in 1975. That was 1974. So in the following 4 months, however, Rutsey, he fell ill. I don't know if you ever heard this story or not, but he fell ill, complications with diabetes, and had to sit out some of the gigs while the group would continue. And they continued with a replacement with some guy named Jerry Fielding. And Rutsey rejoined the group for a month of some club dates before Lifeson and Lee decided that it was probably best for him just to go ahead and leave the group. And he was having more health issues and musical differences too, because they were kind of changing in their style. They weren't so rock and roll. They were more getting into the progressive rock. So they were guilt-ridden. I've seen him say this too on documentaries at first, but we realized that it was just the way it was supposed to be, Getty says. He wasn't happy, and they weren't happy as well. So they're really sweet people, from what I can tell. All the guys in Rush. So then that's when Rush auditioned 5 drummers, and the 4th was Neil Peart. He was from a local band called Hush, not Rush, but Hush. And the 3 played along to Anthem, and the song mostly written by Rutsey was while Rutsey was in the group, and then that Rush later recorded it for Fly By Night. So yeah, it goes on. There's a lot of information about Rush on Wikipedia, but you got your 5 songs on this album, and Alex Lifeson electric guitar, 6-string guitar, and acoustic guitars, and Neil Peart drums and percussion, and Geddy Lee on bass guitar, classical guitar, and lead vocals. So that's pretty cool. That's Rush Fly By Night. All right, let's see. So that brings us now to the top 6. So we added 4 extra ones, and you can see why. Is because those are pretty special albums to be considered, and these are, of course, my picks. You know, they might not be your picks, but these are some of my favorite albums that even today I still go back and listen to these albums. Obviously, I didn't hear all these albums when they first came out and recorded in 1975. I mean, I was 11 years old. I just started getting into rock and roll and having my album collection, and that kind of consisted with like some Beatles albums, and even Rod Stewart, who actually had one of my favorite albums that was released this year. I actually own that. It's a great classic Rod Stewart album. But you know, as I got a little bit older, I started finding these rock bands and things like that that I would discover, usually with their current album over the next few years, and then I would go back and find out what else they had, because I liked them so much. I wanted more. So instead of waiting for a new one to come out, I just went back to see what they had that was old and already released. So that's really cool when you can find a band that's got multiple albums out, and you can go back and discover their discography and enjoy their music even more. And this is actually an early, my number 6 is a band that I actually enjoyed when I was pretty young. Now, I don't think I had this when it first came out, but Supertramp is one of my favorites of the back in the day too. And they had this album here, Crisis What Crisis. Great album. I just loved their sound at the time. Easy Does It, number 1, Sister Moonshine, Ain't Nobody But Me, Soapbox Opera, Another Man's Woman, Lady, Poor Boy, Just a Normal Day, The Meeting, and The Two of Us. And that is 10 songs in 47 minutes. That was Supertramp's Crisis What Crisis. Pretty cool album. It's got some great sound, some proggy stuff, and just some great rock and roll songs. I really liked that album a lot. I still like it. It's the 4th album by the English rock band Supertramp, released in 1975. It was recorded in Los Angeles and in London. It's Supertramp's first album to have recording done in the United States, though, so at least partially. A remastered CD version of the album was released on June 11th of 2002 on A&M Records. That's kind of cool. Let's see. Having achieved the commercial success with Crime of the Century in '74, which was one of my top 6 of 1974. I love that album. Probably a little more than this one, actually. The pressure was on for Supertramp to deliver a follow-up record for the record company, and they pushed them to begin working as soon as the tour came to a close for the Crime of the Century tour. And then while touring the west coast of North America, Supertramp unintentionally gained some extra time due to Hodgson's injury of his hand. It forced the band to cancel the rest of the tour, and they didn't have anything else to do but work on the next album, so that was sort of fortuitous. Let's see. So despite this, the band still had no time to rehearse for the album, much like the indelibly stamped 1971 song what does that say? Had no time to rehearse for the album. Not sure what that means there. But the songwriters Rick Davies and Rick Davies from Rick Davies and Roger Hodgson's had no vision for the complete album. They really didn't know what they were doing. So furthermore, the band was busy touring. The busy touring schedule had left them no time for writing any songs, so they entered the A&M Los Angeles recording studio with only leftover songs from Crime of the Century, or even earlier than that. So due to the shortage of material, production had to be halted at one point so that Davies and Hodgins could write some new songs for the album. One of them was Ain't Nobody But Me. So that's kind of wild. I don't wonder how he injured his hand. Not really sure. So you got in the band at the time was Rick Davies. He was lead and backing vocals, acoustic piano on tracks 3, 5, 7, and 8, Wurlitzer piano on track 7, harmonica on track 2, organ tracks 2, 3, 6, and 10, harpsichord track 4, 6, and 10, synthesizer track 1 and 2, 4, 6, 8, and 9. Okay, that's pretty detailed. And then Roger Hodgson's is the lead and backing vocals, electric guitars on a bunch of tracks, 12-string guitars on several tracks, acoustic piano, Wurlitzer piano. I have no idea what that instrument is. A flageolet, Flageolet, and a cello. See, John Anthony Helliwell, Helliwel. He was saxophone, clarinet, and bass clarinet. Oh, he's a sax player. Cool. And also some backing vocals. Yeah, he's really good. I like his contribution to the band a lot. Let's see. Dougie Thomas on bass guitar, and then Bob Siebenberg, excuse me. He's on drums and percussions. It looks like he was credited as Bob C. Benberg at the time, but his name is Bob Siebenberg. So cool. That's Supertramp. That's my number 6 pick for 1975. I love it. All right, so now we're getting to the top 5, and this album I had in 1975. This is at the time I just was enthralled with this guy here, and I will tell you who he is. Well, it's Alice Cooper, and Alice Cooper in 1975 released his the album right here. Let me get it for you. Welcome to My Nightmare. There it is. Welcome to My Nightmare. I think you're gonna like it. Yeah, I just love this album. I had all these on albums because CDs obviously weren't around then, but I had soon after this album I had bought my own record player that was sort of a nice stereo that I could really get some good fidelity out of. Before that I had like a kid's record player. I was ruining my albums with that thing. But Welcome to My Nightmare. Let's see, it's got 11 songs on it. Devil's Food, Black Widow is a cool song. Some Folk, Only Women Bleed. I remember hearing that song like crazy on AM radio back in the day. It's a great song. Department of Youth is cool. Cold Ethel. I mean, he's got some. Yeah, I just loved his what he would sing about, and just like his stage presence and uh, kind of I don't know what I want to call it, but it was cool. It was different for the time for sure. Let's see, Cold Ethel years ago. Steven, Awakening and Escape. Yeah, that's a really good album. And I'd liked Alice Cooper for many years after that. And even today, I've watched some current, and he's in his 70s now. I've watched some current uh, concert footage on YouTube of him, and he's great. I mean, his band is so good, so good. And they've got this, I forget the female lead guitar player's name, but man, she kills it. She is just killing it on guitar. So good. So, Welcome to My Nightmare is the debut solo album by Alice Cooper. Okay, because before the band was called Alice Cooper, and he sort of took on that persona and became Alice Cooper. Um, so it was released in 1975. It's Alice Cooper's first solo album, and all previous Alice Cooper releases were band efforts. Okay, so that's what I just said. Um, and his only album for the Atlantic Record label. Welcome to My Nightmare is a concept album. Played in sequence, the songs form a journey through the nightmare of a child named Steven. Yeah, creepy, I think, is the word I was looking for before. Just his sort of creepy thematic albums and persona. I don't know. It's kind of like a comic book for a kid. I think that's why kids probably like this kind of stuff. That's why kids liked Kiss at the time. 10, 11-year olds were in the Kiss army. It was that rock music, but it was also that comic book feel. See, this album inspired the Alice Cooper The Nightmare TV special. It was a worldwide concert tour in 1975, and Welcome to My Nightmare concert film in 1976. And the ensuing tour was one of the most over-the-top excursions of the era. Most of Lou Reed's band joined Cooper for this record. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, the cover artwork was by Drew Struzan. Cool cover art. It's kind of funny with all the bugs. I'm kind of looking over here. All the bugs all over it. It's kind of trippy. Let's see. So the band consists of Alice Cooper on vocals, Dick Wagner electric guitar and acoustic guitar and vocals, Steve Hunter electric and acoustic guitars. Uh, let's see, how do you say that name? Prakash. Prakash John on bass. And then uh, Pinty Whitey Glan on drums. I'm glad my parents just named me Todd. It's a lot easier. Yeah, so that's Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare, 1975. Very good album. It sounds spectacular. Just the sound of it is really cool. And which brings me to where are we at? Number 4 already. Man, okay, this is moving a lot faster than I thought it was going to go. So number 4 is at the time one of my favorite bands when I was a kid, definitely, and of course this was one of the very first albums I ever had from them. No, News of the World is where I really discovered Queen, and then I went back and got this album, Night at the Opera, released in '75. I also had their other one, Day at the Races, which I really enjoyed as well. Some of my favorite albums. This is number 4, released in 1975, 18 songs. Oh wait, this might be, this has got some extra songs on it. So it's got 12 songs. And they're killer songs. I mean, this album is great. Death on Two Legs. That's a great song. And Lazy on a Sunday Afternoon. This is what I was talking about Queen previous episodes of my top picks. Is that it's just that piano and just that sort of 20s style sounding music that I think really works with Queen for some reason. I'm in Love with My Car. That was sung by the drummer, Roger Taylor. Let's see, You're My Best Friend. Huge radio hit. Just enormous. 39. Let's see. Sweet Lady. Seaside Rendezvous. Another one of those kind of 40 sounding songs. Prophet song. Love of my life, won't you need me? Or whatever it is. I like that song. Good. Good Company. And then, of course, you've got Bohemian Rhapsody. Classic, iconic song of the ages. Definitely. And God Save the Queen. Which features the guitar works of, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but it's got that signature sound. Let's see, let's stop showing this, and let's find out a little bit more about Night at the Opera. Yeah, this is a really good album. Oh yeah, there's lots of stuff here. For sure. Yeah, Brian May is what I was trying to think of. Yeah, so Night of the Opera. This is their fourth studio album by the British rock band Queen, released November 21st, 1975, by EMI Records in the United Kingdom, Electric Records in the United States. It was produced by Roy Thomas Baker and Queen, and it was reportedly the most expensive album ever recorded at the time of its release. Wow, I had no idea. The album's title is taken from the Marx Brothers film of the same name, Night at the Opera. Night at the Opera was recorded at various studios across a 4-month period in 1975, and due to management issues, Queen had received almost none of the money they earned for the previous albums. Subsequently, they ended their contract with Trident Studios and did not use their studio for the album, with the sole exception being God Save the Queen, which had been recorded the previous year. They employed a complex production that extensively used multi-track recording, and the songs incorporated a wide range of styles such as ballads, music hall, maybe that's what you call that, Dixieland, hard rock and progressive rock influences. And aside from their usual equipment, Queen also utilized a diverse range of instruments such as the double bass and the harp and the ukulele. Very cool. Let's see. Man, there's so much information about it. Let's just go down and see if we can just see. So you got the classic lineup of Queen, which it always was until Freddie's death. But Freddie on vocals and backing vocals and piano. You got Brian May on guitars, acoustic guitar, lead vocals. Let's see, Koto, Koto, whatever that is. Harp and ukulele. Roger Taylor, drums, backing vocals, percussion, lead vocals, and electric guitar. Oh, I didn't know Roger played guitar too. That's cool. And John Deacon, great bass player. Bass guitar, electric piano, and the double bass. So that is Queen's Night at the Opera, which is my number 4 pick in my top 10 of 1975. Very cool. All right. So top 3. I mean, these are some classic albums. Frankly, I think we can pretty much all agree that these next 3 are going to be spectacular. Let's get to number 3. Let's find it. There it is. Aerosmith. Boom. Toys in the Attic. So good. Yeah. Super great album. I fell in love with they used to call this like acid rock back then, and especially their album Rocks. The acid rock was a term used for like kind of hard rock, you know. But this stuff just sounds so kind of popish now to me these days. But still great songs. Toys in the Attic, Uncle Salty, Adam's Apple, Walk This Way. You could even say that one sounds a little bit rapish too. So, due to their collaboration with Run DMC. Let's see. Big 10-inch record. That's kind of a funny song. Sweet Emotion. Yeah, great bass line there. What's that bass player's name? Hammond, I think. Forgetting his first name. I'll get to it later. Super cool. No More, No More, No More, No More. Good. Round and Round and You See Me Crying. This is a really good album, just from start to finish. The funny thing is with this album, though, is that I didn't own it on records. I owned it on 8-track tape. So at some point in here, and I forget where it was, I think it was Sweet Emotion. It would it would click tracks. I don't know if you even know what what an 8-track tape is, but it had 4 tracks on it, and it only had so much tape that was looping, and it would change the track in the middle of the song. Those were the days. Yeah, so that's Toys in the Attic number 3. Let's see what Wikipedia has to say. This Toys in the Attic is their 3rd studio album by the American rock band Aerosmith, released in 1975 by Columbia Records. It's their first single, Sweet Emotion. That was released on May 19th. Walk This Way followed on August 28th the same year. The album is the band's most commercially successful LP in the United States. Wow, that's kind of hard to believe. Considering some of their, kind of comeback records from like the 80s and stuff, like Pump and stuff like that. But yeah, this was a huge album. 8 million copies sold, according to the RIAA. The album was ranked 229 on the Rolling Stones list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. And well, it's ranked number 3 on my top 10 albums of 1975. So I guess I'm keeping decent company. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Looks like their previous album was Get Your Wings. Very cool. Let's see. The band was Steven Tyler. But it still is the same guys at this point. Steven Tyler on vocals, keyboards, harmonica, and percussion. Joe Perry lead guitar. I guess except for a couple tracks. He's also rhythm guitar, slide guitar, acoustic guitars, backing vocals, percussions. Brad Whitford, rhythm guitar. Oh, that's because Brad played lead on some of those tracks that Joe Perry didn't. But yeah, Brad's a great player. And the way they work together is very cool. I like that too. That's part of the appeal at this time of their career, how I really like the way their guitar worked, melded together and sort of played off each other. Let's see, Tom Hamilton. That's what it is. Tom Hamilton. Can't remember what I said, but something with an H. Tom Hamilton is bass guitar, rhythm guitar. He played rhythm guitar on track 2. And Joey Kramer, drums and percussion. Yeah, Joey just rocks it. Great drummer. Very cool. Number 3, Toys in the Attic by Aerosmith. My top 10 1975 top picks. Very cool. So that brings us to number 2. I don't know if you got any guesses what might be coming up. Let's see. Well, it's probably not that hard for you to guess because I've been sort of showing my hand when I show the Spotify screen here because it's got all the albums sort of lined up. But yeah, it's Pink Floyd, and Pink Floyd Wish You Were Here. So let me pull that up. There it is right there. Pink Floyd Wish You Were Here. Pretty cool. It's a good album. Shine On You Crazy Diamond, parts 1 through 5. It's the opener. Wish I could play these songs for you right now. But, copyright strikes and all that kind of stuff on YouTube. Just trying to avoid as much of that as I can. Let's see. Welcome to the Machine. Awesome song. Have a Cigar. Wish You Were Here. And Shine On You Crazy Diamond, parts 6 through 9. Yeah, this is a really good album. Super cool. Let's see what it says about it on the old Wikipedia. Wish You Were Here is the 9th studio album by the English rock band Pink Floyd, released on September 12, 1975 through Harvest Records and Columbia Records, their first releases for the latter. Based on the material Pink Floyd composed while performing in Europe, Wish You Were Here was recorded over numerous sessions throughout 1975 at the Abbey Road Studios in London. That's cool. The album theme include criticisms of the music business, alienation, and a tribute to the founding member, Syd Barrett, of course. Shine On You Crazy Diamond, I believe that was, who left 7 years earlier with mental health issues. And I think we all have heard the stories about that. Like their previous record, Dark Side of the Moon, 1973, Pink Floyd used studio effects and synthesizers. Guest singers included Roy Harper, who this is something that I didn't know until like just a couple years ago. Roy Harper, he provided the lead vocals on Have a Cigar. I thought that was very interesting. I always thought Roger Waters sang that, but that is a guy named Roy Harper. Very cool. And then let's see, and then Vanetta Fields, who added the backing vocals to Shine On You Crazy Diamond to promote the album. The band released the double-sided single Have a Cigar. Yeah, Vanetta Fields sang that, just that, wailing, emotional, no words, just that emotional crying and wailing. It was so good. Yeah, that was a really good album. Let's see. Oh my gosh, wait, I'm going to read this. Wish You Were Here received mixed reviews from critics on its release, which I had a friend of mine who posted today about a critic that gave him crap about his voice, and he's got a great gravelly blues voice, and I told him, hey, what's a critic's job? A critic's job is to criticize. So, consider the source. If he didn't criticize something, he wouldn't have a job. But I mean, if you want to hurt somebody, tell a singer they can't sing. God. Yeah, just don't listen to the critics' reviews. Anyways, it was released to some mixed reviews. Let's see, who found its musical uninspiring and inferior to the previous work. Yeah, they're comparing it to the previous album, Dark Side of the Moon. But still, I don't, yeah, that was a huge album. But how do you live up to that? It has retrospectively received critical acclaim. Yeah, now the critics are critically acclaiming it. Hailed as one of the greatest albums of all time, and it was cited by keyboardist Richard Wright and guitarist David Gilmour as their favorite Pink Floyd album. It reached number 1 in the U.S. and the U.K., and Harvest parent company EMI was unable to keep up with the demand. Since then, the record has sold an estimated 13 million copies. That is incredible. I hope that's accurate and up to date, because this is Wikipedia. I hope it gets updated periodically, because it seems like that album's still selling. Let's see. So you got personnel for Pink Floyd is David Gilmour on vocals, guitars, pedal steel guitar, something called the EMS synth AKS, additional bass, glass harmonica, and tape effects. Roger Waters vocals, bass guitar, also EMS VCS3, additional guitars, glass harmonica, and tape effects. And Nick Mason is the drums, percussions, and tape effects. And Richard Wright, Hammond organ, the ARP string ensemble, the Mini Moog, the Steinway piano, the EMS VCS3 on 3 tracks. I don't know what that is, but whatever it is, it's probably super cool. The Hohner Clavinet D6, and the Wurlitzer EP200 electric piano, and the glass harmonica and backing vocals. Richard Wright. Very cool. They had some additional musicians as well. Dick Perry was tenor and baritone saxophone, and then we talked about Roy Harper did the lead vocals on Have a Cigar. Come on, boy, you're gonna go far. And then Vanetta Fields on the backing vocals on Shining Your Crazy Diamond. And see, Carlina Williams backing vocals as well. Very cool. So that is number 2 on my top 10 special edition, 1975 special edition show. Which brings us to number 1, which is very cool. One of my all-time favorite bands as well. Number 1, they've been on several of my lists at this point. Now that we've reached, we're starting the second half of the 70s at 1975. They were on a couple of my previous years as favorites. I think even one time that was my favorite number 1 pick. And this time again, they will be my favorite number 1 pick. And that, of course, is everybody's favorite. I say that jokingly because I have heard people tell me that they don't like Led Zeppelin. I don't know why, but that's what some people say. Physical Graffiti. What an amazing album this is. This is a great album. Released in 1975. It's got 5. Let's see if they've got extra songs here on the tail end. Yeah, they've got some. Cashmere in the Light. This is so cool. Oh, this is a double album. That's why, yeah. So yeah, this is super great. Opens up with Custard Pie. I love that song. Oh man, all these songs are so good. The Rover, In My Time of Dying. Oh my gosh. When you get done with this, don't stop now, but go back, go listen to In My Time of Dying. Such a amazing song. Houses of the Holy, Trampled Underfoot, Cashmere in the Light is another great song. I never really remember how to say this one here. Bronner, not sure, but still a really good song. Down by the Seaside, 10 Years Gone, Night Flight, The Wanting Song, Boogie with Stew, Backcountry Woman, and Sick Again. This is an amazing double album. So that's my number 1 pick. Let's see what they say on Wikipedia. I'll get a little bit of info and then we'll call it a day. So this album is about the Physical Graffiti. It's the 6th album by the English rock band Led Zeppelin. It was released as a double album on the 24th of February 1975 by the group's new record label Swan Song Records. The band wrote and recorded 8 new songs for the album in early 1974 at Headley Grange, country house in Hampshire, which gave them ample time to improvise arrangements and experiment with the recordings. The total playing time covered just under the 3 sides of an LP, so they decided to expand it into a double album, and by including previous unreleased tracks from the sessions from earlier albums such as Led Zeppelin 3, Led Zeppelin 4, and Houses of the Holy. So the album covered a range of styles including hard rock, progressive rock, rock and roll, and folk as well. The album was then mixed over the summer of 1974 and planned for an end of the year release. It was delayed because of the sleeve, which was designed by Peter Corriston, and featured a theme around a tenement block in Manhattan, New York City. I guess that's what this is. New York City. Physical Graffiti was commercially and critically successful upon its release and debuted at #1 on the album charts in the UK and #3 in the US. It was promoted by a successful US tour and a 5-night residency at Earl's Court, London, and has since been viewed as one of the group's strongest albums and artistic peak of their career. The album has been reissued on CD several times, including an expansive 40th anniversary edition in 2015. Physical Graffiti was later certified 16 times platinum in the United States by the Recording Industry Association of America in 2006, signifying shipments of over 8 million copies. Super cool. Let's see. There's just like all kinds of information about the songs and the critical reception, reissues. Okay, so here you got it. You got Led Zeppelin, John Bonham on drums and percussions, John Paul Jones, another one of my favorite, all-time favorite bass players. I would say sorely underrated, but not, but sort of, in a way, but people that know he's a great bass player, multi-instrumentalist. He's here, even shows here he played bass guitar, keyboards, mandolin, acoustic guitars, string and brass arrangements. Then Jimmy Page, electric, acoustic, lap steel, slide guitars and production, and Robert Plant, lead vocals and harmonica. Yeah, so that's Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti. They're my #1 pick in my special edition top 10 list of 1975. So that's it. That's pretty much it. These are, like I said, and like I always say, these are my favorite of the year. I mean, let's see. There were so many other albums released. Blood on the Tracks by Bob Dylan. Born to Run was released in '75 by Bruce Springsteen. What else? Captain Fantastic by Elton John. Young Americans by David Bowie. One of These Nights by the Eagles. Oh gosh. Katie Laid by Steely Dan. Fleetwood Mac album. Dang, so many great Sabotage by Black Sabbath. Minstrel in the Gallery by Jethro Tull. Face the Music by Electric Light Orchestra. Even Beautiful Loser by Bob Seger. Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, 1975. Man, great album. Just didn't find its way into my top 10. Foghat Fool for the City. The Bee Gees' Main Course. Scorpions in Trance. Man, Rock and Roll, John Lennon. Blues for Elijah, Grateful Dead. Oh, Atlantic Crossing. That's the Rod Stewart album from 1975. That's probably number 11 for me. Just fell right outside the top 10. It's a great album. That album is one of those albums that when I listen to it, it brings back that feeling you get when you hear certain songs, of the time in your life. It just brings back a flood of thoughts and emotions and feelings. Just one of those songs that does, or one of those albums that does that for me. What else was released during 1975? Deep Purple's Come Taste the Band. That's a good one. Robin Trower, For Earth Below, Chicago, whatever number that is, Chicago 8 or something like that. Doobie Brothers, Stampede. Even Promised Land by Elvis Presley was released in 1975. So that's it. That's the whole kit and caboodle then, 1975. My favorite top 10. Let me know what your favorites are, if you agree with me on some of these, or if you rank them differently, or if you throw in some other albums that I didn't mention or haven't heard, or didn't land in my list. But I like my list. This is the way I stand. I'll stick by it. You might be able to change my mind if you remind me of something I missed. But let's go through them real quick. So we got number 10, Styx, Equinox. Number 9, Rush, Caress of Steel. Number 8, The Who by Numbers. Rush is 7 with Fly By Night. They were also 9 with Caress of Steel for me. I'm a big Rush fan. And then number 6 is Supertramp with Crisis What Crisis. Alice Cooper is number 5 with Welcome to My Nightmare. I think you're going to like it. Number 4, Queen with Night at the Opera. Aerosmith's Toys in the Attic is 4. 2 is Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, and I really do wish you were here. And Led Zeppelin's Physical Graffiti, my number 1 pick for 1975 in my special edition top 10 list. I want to thank you guys for sticking this whole thing out. It's been about an hour, so if you're still with me, congratulations, you did it. All right. Hey, as you know, I appreciate you very much. Scroll down into the description of the YouTube video here, and you can find some ways, you can find some links there for ways that you can help out, support the channel if you're interested. You know, I talked about the Life Boost Coffee, and I've talked about the Patreon, and you know, the PayPal donation button and things like that are all down there. And no big deal if you don't want to, just watch the videos. But if you do watch the videos, like, subscribe, click the notification bell, share, you know, that all that stuff just helps me out, and it's super easy for you to do. All you got to do is click a button, and it makes a big difference for me. So I want to thank you guys so much for participating in my music channel, All Music, and I'm going to keep doing it. You know, I've got lots more guests that I'm going to be interviewing. If you haven't seen my last 2 guests that I interviewed, you got to go back and check them out. Some pretty cool stuff. Jeff Kaiser. This morning, early this morning, I interviewed Jeff Kaiser, and his music is he's got like so many albums, like over, I don't know, he said like 30, getting close, but on his Bandcamp page he has like 17, but very, very different type of music. And I encourage you to just pick something of his catalog with some headphones and some time to just contemplate life and listen to what he's doing, and just let him take you on a journey that you probably have never been on musically before in your life. So there's that. And then let's see, then I got Billy D and the Hoodoos, from Billy D and the Hoodoos. Billy Desmond, what a great interview, what a great guy he is. Super cool album. He's got 2 great albums, and you can find the links to all of those in the respective shows, and just go down in the descriptions and click on their links and give them some love too. So once again, I want to thank you guys for watching. My name is Todd Ledbetter from All Music, and we will definitely catch you in 1976. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.